So this is the comments on my ranking every Krusty Krab destruction video. What I did in this video was I ranked every time the Krusty Krab was destroyed in SpongeBob SquarePants, but I ranked it not in the sense of which episode that I thought was like the best or the funniest. I ranked it based on how much Mr. Krabs deserved to have the Krusty Krab destroyed. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to not only talk about all of the times this restaurant blew up throughout the series, which is 31, arguably 32. We'll get to the argument about why it might be 32 or might not be in a bit, but because I think it was a great opportunity to teach about what it means for a character to deserve something. So I thought it was a really good avenue for that. So we are going to check out some of the comments on the video and see what people thought of it. So the first comment we're reading here is about the one entry that I wasn't sure was a Krusty Krab destruction. I put just one bite as a not sure. So in just one bite, Squidward eats a bunch of Krabby Patties and he blows up, very cartoonishly. The shot where the explosion happens is the outside of the Krusty Krab, and the explosion happens outside of the Krusty Krab. But we don't see the Krusty Krab actually like blown up. We don't really see that as a meaningful consequence. So we don't really know if the Krusty Krab gets destroyed, but the explosion did happen outside of the Krusty Krab, and it covers the entirety of the Krusty Krab if you look at it. So I put it as an honorable mention, and I basically said it would have been number 31, one of the least deserved, because Mr. Krabs isn't even in the episode. So if Mr. Krabs isn't in the episode, how does he deserve it? It's completely neutral. I lean towards that it wasn't a Krusty Krab destruction. I lean towards not counting it, but I had to mention it because I didn't want to not mention it and have someone think that I missed it. Considering the explosion in just one bite was inside the metal patty vault, I don't think the main building would have suffered much damage. The patty vault is definitely gone, but the main Krusty Krab, maybe some minor damage or small holes. But I feel like the metal shell of the vault definitely held back most of the brunt of the explosion. I do want to note that I'm no expert on explosives. Well, thank you. Thank you. I guess it wasn't an explosive. It was more of a guy blew up, so I don't think we have any real world explosives to really compare it to. The one refutation that I could see to this is that we see the explosion outside of the Krusty Krab. So if the explosion was meant to destroy just the patty vault, we wouldn't have seen the explosion outside the Krusty Krab. So the explosion definitely traveled outside the Krusty Krab, but it could have been some minor damage or small holes. Again, hence why I didn't really count it. This is a blast to watch while drunk. Well, I have not really thought about that. Someone watching my videos while drunk. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, I thought we were about to discuss the other episode where Mr. Krabs and Plankton sell people grease. Kind of weird that there's two of those. They're referring to There Will Be Grease was one of the last entries, one of the more narratively deserved entries where Mr. Krabs and Plankton sell grease to people, and it's like a snake oil salesman thing or like essential oils. Like they act like it's this like miracle stuff when it doesn't really do much. It's just an episode about scams, and since Mr. Krabs was scamming people, the Krusty Krab getting destroyed was narratively deserved. Can you rank Plankton schemes next? That's been done. B-Tan, I believe that's how channel name is pronounced. Yeah, B-Tan did that. Every Plankton scheme ranked. I mean, I would do it differently if I did do it, because I think I've seen his video on it, and it's just personal favorites. I think it's just like which ones that the video maker found more interesting, which is fine. That's the standard way of making a video. I was not going to knock someone for making a video that way. Like, it's fine to share your opinion, but obviously my videos are more about story-based stuff. I mean, I could just be best. My Flying Dutchman video was about what is the best, what is the most enjoyable. You know what I could do? Instead of ranking Plankton's schemes, maybe I would rank Plankton's punishments, his comeuppance. So every time Plankton got punished, which is the most fair. So or sometimes is it not fair, and the subject of narratively deserved. So if Plankton, Plankton he went to jail at the end of the SpongeBob movie. Maybe he got off too easy. All he did was go to jail. He enslaved the whole town. Maybe he should have gotten worse. I guess he got stepped on a bunch too. But probably if I was going to revisit this concept, it probably would be either Chum Bucket getting destroyed, Squidward's house getting destroyed, or every time Mrs. Puff goes to jail. Those are the three other ones that I'm kind of mulling around in my head. I do know that you mentioned it in the video. If you were to do a Chum Bucket one, it would be a much bigger video since the chum bucket was destroyed more times than the Krusty Krab. Is that right? Is the chum bucket destroyed more than the Krusty Krab? I would think that Squidward's house would be more. I feel like Squidward's house gets destroyed more. I feel like Squidward's house would be the biggest one. The chum bucket gets destroyed more than the Krusty Krab? I guess that makes sense because the chum bucket, Plankton's the villain. So in a Plankton episode, Plankton always does something bad. So Plankton always, well, not always, not every Plankton episode has him do something bad, but most Plankton episodes, he's the villain. So he would have comeuppance. I also think a chum bucket video would be a little more, not more, I mean, I think this was still an interesting video, but a lot of the entries on the Krusty Krab video were not Mr. Krabs' fault. There was a lot, like there was a long section, like I think like 10 entries are like, it's not Mr. Krabs' fault. It's not Mr. Krabs' fault. Like I struggled with that while I was writing it. I was like, oh man, like, is this going to be a good video subject? Because so many are not his fault. Am I just going to be like numbers 30 through? I think I did a pretty good job of making it interesting and compelling by talking about that. I talked about the other characters and why the other characters were punished when I said it wasn't Mr. Krabs' fault, to make it interesting and still talk about the main subject of the video. But I think a chum bucket one, more of the chum bucket would be, this is Plankton's fault. This is Plankton's fault. They're probably mostly Plankton's fault. They definitely aren't all Plankton's fault. Like Slide Whistle Stooges destroys the chum bucket, and that's not Plankton's fault. Regarding the destruction of Employee of the Month, this kind of makes me glad that most stores and restaurants don't do this kind of stuff anymore, because I think it's safe to say that they both don't deserve to be Employee of the Month, both being SpongeBob and Squidward. Yeah, Employee of the Month was not super high on the list, but it was I think it was number 9 or maybe number 8, because I did say it was deserved on Krabs' part because Krabs pitted them against each other. They don't really do Employee of the Months anymore at restaurants. I guess it's kind of an outdated thing. Is Employee of the Month a common thing anymore? I thought I was the only one who noticed that about these 2 episodes. I think they're referring to, I talked about how in Slide Whistle Stooges, Squidward destroys the chum bucket and the Krusty Krab. And in That Sinking Feeling, Squidward also destroys the Krusty Krab and the chum bucket. So both restaurants are destroyed in both of those episodes, but they're destroyed differently. In Slide Whistle Stooges, Squidward drives through the chum bucket and Mr. Krabs gloats and goes, ha ha ha, you got your restaurant destroyed, Plankton. And then Squidward drives through the Krusty Krab. So I said that one was more narratively deserved because Mr. Krabs gloated. But in That Sinking Feeling, Mr. Krabs actually doesn't appear in the episode at all. The Krusty Krab sinks, and then Plankton goes, now I'm the only restaurant in town, and then his sinks. So they're reverse of each other. They are the same thing. They're the same thing, just in opposite orders. I thought that was a very interesting parallel. Also, I would like to address that I totally screwed up the title of the episode. I called That Sinking Feeling Cave Dwelling Sponge in that section. So there's a couple of times where I say Cave Dwelling Sponge, which is a different episode, when I'm referring to That Sinking Feeling. So if you saw the video and thought that was weird, that was why. And I didn't realize until it was too late to edit it. I was not expecting you to even mention the Patrick Show one. Yeah, I mentioned, because there is an episode of the Patrick Star Show where the Krusty Krab gets destroyed, so I decided to mention it. Because people said when I did the Flying Dutchman ranking, I didn't talk about him in the spinoffs, and people were disappointed. So I don't know if I'll always talk about the spinoffs in videos like this, because sometimes it might be like too much. Because I feel like if I talked about the Flying Dutchman in the spinoffs, it would have like derailed it. It would have just derailed the video by talking about a bunch of spinoff episodes people haven't really seen, rather than like the classics. But because there was only one Patrick Star Show episode, I thought it was a good choice. Actually, the Suds episode was worth it since it's karma directed to Mr. Krabs after he unfairly fired SpongeBob in karate choppers, albeit over minor damage, by his employee over karate, which he outlawed and later allowed for money purposes. What a hypocrite. Mr. Krabs was forced to pay for the damages made by SpongeBob's dying, blah, blah, blah. Well, Mr. Krabs did the right thing to send SpongeBob home. It also is a delight to me for the customers to run out of the restaurant after he said, I don't want you sneezing all over me food, and I find it strange that he was the one who checked on SpongeBob first instead of Squidward, who for some reason was absent from work and the episode as a whole. Well, I think the reason Squidward wasn't in the episode was because it just would have been a kind of waste of time to introduce him and then unintroduce him. You kind of only needed one character to send him home. So that's probably why Squidward wasn't in the episode. So this is what I would say to this is that you can't in a TV show. I mean, I guess you can in a serialized show, but in an episodic show, you can't really consider something a character did in a different episode to be narratively deserved if the episodes aren't connected. Because if you look at it like Mr. Krabs deserves to have his restaurant destroyed because of stuff he did in any other episode, then that would say that he's always equally narratively deserving of every Krusty Krab destruction. Because, you know, like, oh, well, like he's deserving of having the restaurant destroyed in Sponge Kano because he sold SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents, you know, but like that's not the same episode. And also, if you look at it from what narratively deserved actually means, which is the writers making a comment on behavior, when the Krusty Krab gets destroyed in an episode as a punishment for Mr. Krabs, like for example in Skill Crane, that is the writers directly saying Mr. Krabs deserved this because he did something bad. It is a comment on the actions of the character that the writers are trying to make a statement about. Suds is not saying anything about Mr. Krabs' actions in Karate Choppers because those actions weren't brought up, and you'd only be aware of those actions if you watch that episode like right before that one. And it's certainly not what the narrative is saying about Mr. Krabs' actions, both from a author intent and an audience interpretation. Like even an audience interpretation, you wouldn't really be able to do that. It doesn't exist within the broader universe of the show. For Skill Crane, it should also be noted that Krabs encouraged Squidward to keep going, making him even more in the wrong, even happily taking the D to Squidward's house. Yeah, he did encourage him a little bit. A lot of Skill Crane is Squidward giving into the addiction. How much did Mr. Krabs directly encourage him? I think it was more manipulative than that. Like, was there a scene where he was like, you gotta play? I think there might have been. How deserved was the Krusty Krab being crushed by the Alaskan bullworm along with the rest of a freshly pushed somewhere else Bikini Bottom? Ooh, should that have counted? Because that wasn't on the list. Alaskan bullworm was not on the list, or what's it called? Sandy, SpongeBob, and the Worm is the name of the episode. That was not on the list. I didn't count like just when Bikini Bottom gets destroyed. I didn't count Wormy either as another one. Bikini Bottom's like on fire. I don't think it counts as a Krusty Krab destruction. I feel like the list would have gotten very muddled if it was just every time Bikini Bottom was destroyed, because that would have included the Krusty Krab. To answer this commenter's question, it's not so much that the Krusty Krab was deserved to be destroyed, but I would say that the town itself deserved to be destroyed by the townspeople because they didn't meaningfully address the issue. They tried to run away from it by pushing Bikini Bottom somewhere else. And by running away from their problems, it came back. So if I was doing a Bikini Bottom getting destroyed ranking video, by ranking how much the citizens of Bikini Bottom deserved having Bikini Bottom destroyed, it would probably be decently high up. Maybe not number one, but I would say it's pretty narratively deserved. Why wasn't Tudor Sauce on the list? In that episode, Mr. Krabs tries to teach SpongeBob how to drive after he fails his driving test. Did I miss one? Did I miss an episode? It might be another one of those situations where the Krusty Krab is damaged but not destroyed. Yeah, it wasn't on like the main list. I saw a list of like all the times the Krusty Krab got destroyed, and it even had times where it got damaged. Like it had like Texas, it had Dying for Pie on the list. Like I had to go through and edit down the list to actual destructions. I even ended up watching a bunch of episodes and I was like, oh, this one doesn't count. It had SpongeBob You're Fired on the list. So I actually watched SpongeBob You're Fired for the first time because of it. SpongeBob You're Fired doesn't really count. There's like minor damage, but it didn't destroy the whole restaurant. So I watched the whole special and I was like, oh, that doesn't count. Oh yeah. So it just takes down the front. So this is what they're referring to. Okay, I guess they drive out the front and it just falls over. Yeah, no, that doesn't count. That is not a Krusty Krab destruction. I understand ice cream and SpongeBob is sometimes treated as alcohol. Perhaps the episode should have been an Elseworld showing them in Prohibition times. This is referring to the Goob Father, which is an episode where the Krusty Krab gets destroyed. My biggest criticism of the Goob Father was that the premise is that Goofy Goobers is like a mafia thing, and they're feuding with the Krusty Krab because the Krusty Krab starts selling ice cream and they treat ice cream like it's, illicit goods. They didn't treat ice cream enough like it was an illicit good. It was like you had like the Goob Father and they did all that stuff where it was like, yeah, you're on my territory. But ice cream wasn't like illegal. So like my criticism of the episode was I think that they should have had ice cream be treated like it was illegal. But that's a really cool idea. If it would have been like a Prohibition themed episode, that would have been awesome. like in 1920s. In my opinion, the top 3 are the most evil and irredeemable. The rest are either not that bad or not his fault. The top 3? The top 3 are Skill Crane, which is taking advantage of addicts. And then there's Lighthouse Louie and Out of the Picture. And Lighthouse Louie, Mr. Krabs wants the customers to shield the Krusty Krab with their bodies, putting their well-being under his business. So that's why it was number 2, because he's literally disregarding other people's lives. And Out of the Picture, he straight up just tries to off Squidward, so that his paintings would go up in value and he can sell them for more money. So he's straight up like, that's obviously, that's an obvious number 1. Number 1 was actually a really easy choice. Funnily enough, it was more like the middle between number 1 and the rest that was harder to rank. But number 4 was Squid on Strike. So I guess this person agrees with Mr. Krabs and Squid on Strike. I guess we got a scab. I guess we got the kid who took SpongeBob's job in the comment section here. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Squid on Strike has a bit more nuance to it. Like, there is the element of Mr. Krabs was willing to negotiate. Mr. Krabs did agree. He did come to an agreement with Squidward, so there were some things. Perhaps it was a tad undeserved. But yeah, I would not say that the top 3 are the only ones that are the most evil. I would say the first one that was evil would be Frozen Face Off. So from Frozen Face Off on, I think all of the actions were evil. Because in Frozen Face Off, he abandons his friends in the snow when, like, he could have helped them. Like, it could have led to them. You know, it was mostly a betrayal thing. Like, it might not have been exactly as direct, but I think that was evil. Whereas Employee of the Month is just more like, it's kind of messed up, but I wouldn't call it evil to pit your people against each other for Employee of the Month. It's not nice, you know. But I would say number 8 on are the evil and irredeemable ones. Probably silly, but I need you to know that your media analysis of SpongeBob made me look at my own writing in a different way. I'm more mindful and aware of what I try to express for a wedding. Oh, I love comments like these. These are my favorite kinds of comments. They really are. Yeah, my content isn't just for people who want to be writers, but I do have that in mind when I write my videos, that there are people who might be aspiring writers who will learn something from it. The more I watch these, the more sense it made to me why Mr. Krabs paid SpongeBob little to no money. Like, with the overload of damage he's caused in the first season alone, he would be lucky if his great-grandchildren see a dime. Wonderful video, by the way. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for wonderful. Well, I'm sure insurance pays out. I'm sure insurance pays out a lot. And, you know, if you can't afford to pay someone because your restaurant keeps getting destroyed, maybe that's on you. This was a great idea for a video. I could see a lot of YouTubers just going down a list of every time it's been destroyed and maybe making a couple of jokes, but I really like the way you decided to rank them. I honestly thought there would have been more examples of the Krusty Krab getting destroyed, but 30 plus is still a lot. Oh yeah, this video was hard. I feel like it has to be the most destroyed location on the show. Well, apparently the Chum Bucket gets destroyed more often, and I'm pretty sure Squidward's house gets destroyed more often. I think my favorite way it's been destroyed is Squid on Strike, but I might be biased because I love that. I also think about the Atom by Atom joke all the time. Squid on Strike would probably have been number 1 if this was a ranking of my personal favorite episodes where the Krusty Krab gets destroyed. Squid on Strike is it's just such a strong episode all the way through. You know what's funny? There actually are I think there was only like 5 entries in Classic SpongeBob. Like, Classic SpongeBob did not have a lot of episodes on this list. I think it was Squid on Strike, Suds, Just One Bite, and that one was even debatable. What were the others? Well, Patty Hype. Patty Hype doesn't even get destroyed. What were the other ones? There was more. Employee of the Month. Couple more in, like, middle SpongeBob, like season 4 and such, selling out. Skill Crane, season 4. I'll be honest, when I was younger, all of this narrative deserving thoughts never came to my head. It was, strangely enough, I became more aware of what I was consuming after watching SpongeBob review videos, and I felt super embarrassed for previously enjoying some very bad episodes. Never feel embarrassed for the episodes you enjoyed. It's so fine. It's okay if you enjoyed a SpongeBob episode. Don't be embarrassed. It's cool that you're thinking about narrative stuff and thinking about what you view as a consumer, but don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel embarrassed. It's okay. It's okay. It was probably just because it would contaminate the food and get people sick and damage the Krusty Krab's reputation. Talking about why I sent him home for suds. That is an interesting moral question. Mr. Krabs sent SpongeBob home because he would contaminate the food and that would make him lose money. So it was just like a good business decision. I still would consider it a morally good act. I guess it depends on your definition of morality. Like, is a morally good act one that you intend is good, or is a morally good act one that just is good? I think it was a good act. I think it would still be the least narratively deserved, even if that were the case. Even if this were the case. Yeah, he even does say, "I can't have you sneezing all over my food." He does even explicitly say that. Still would be the the least narratively deserved. But Mr. Krabs was also willing to sell a rotten patty. Yeah, well, that that was also why I said it's a little out of character that Mr. Krabs would even send SpongeBob home, even by like season 2 standards, because Suds is season 1. Because like you have Born Again Krabs. I think Born Again Krabs is season 3. He wants to sell a rotten patty in Born Again Krabs. So that is a little different. So if anything, if you look at it that way, it kind of speaks to the fact that it wasn't just because he cared about, like, maybe he did genuinely care about SpongeBob, because he doesn't care about his customers getting sick if he was willing to sell them a rotten patty. So maybe him sending SpongeBob home in Suds is just that he genuinely cared for him in that moment. Obviously, the real reason is because they hadn't really established the character yet and established that he's that much of a cheapskate.